So I'm doing something different tonight. I've decided that I am going to help you, pointing with a microphone, be a better streamer, or at least learn how to stream to begin with if you don't know how already. Um, the first thing we're going to talk about is probably going to be hardware, and it is going to be hardware. It's going to be streaming hardware, basic streaming setups, from consoles to PCs and stuff, to the top setup that you could probably have as a content creator in general, which is a pretty beefy machine. Um, but first, we're going to talk about the bottom level, like where you're going to start. Basically, for streaming, there's no excuse anymore. If you own a PS4 or an Xbox One, you should be streaming. Or you could be. You shouldn't. Should be. If you feel like you want to stream, that is what you need. That's where I started. I had an Xbox One with a Kinect and a mic. You can use the Kinect mic, but it's kind of shitty. But if you have a decent headset with a mic on it, it'll do that instead, which is great. You'll be able to hear that just fine. And that'll get you started. That'll get you rolling. That'll get you established. I did that for 6 months, and I had a PC that was terrible. My PC, when I first started streaming, was about 7 years old, and it was an AMD machine with a Phenom 2 X4 Black Edition, which, if you know anything about processors, it was a quad core at 3.5 gigahertz or something, which is it's okay. It was old though. It wasn't optimized for anything. The bulldozer architecture, which I believe that was still, or the Phenom. I don't know what the architecture was on the Phenoms. It was decent though. It got the job done. I was able to stream at a fairly low bit rate, at a fairly low resolution, but I was able to do it. Last February of 2016, I built a new PC that I'm currently on, which was just let's get the quality up a little bit. So that has a Phenom or a FX 8350 from AMD in it, 16 gigs of RAM. It's nothing crazy. GTX 680 in it. It's still basic, but I wasn't maxing out my CPU just by streaming. Now, with AMD Ryzen and prices in general about to start coming down, the barrier to entry for PC streaming is going to come down very quickly, and it's going to be great. The ability to price out a PC to stream on, at least, like the very least, like to capture a console and stream, is going to be a lot less than it was in the past. Now you still can get up there with the Intel processors if you want to toss in like a 6950K, which is an 8-core 16-thread beast. But AMD Ryzen 1700, yo Nordblick, how you doing, bud? AMD Ryzen 1700, 1700X, and 1800X are all overclockable. They're all 8-core 16 threads, and they're all going to be great for content creation. They may not get the highest gaming scores or whatever because their clock speeds aren't quite as high, but they're all overclockable, and they're all 8 cores and 16 threads, which is a pretty big jump for content creators in general. Hang on. My dad, out of the blue, sending me a message. So I gotta reply to those. But anyways, you can get pretty intense with a PC build for streaming. But again, the base of the base, just grab your Xbox controller or PS4 controller, go into the sharing settings, set up Twitch. Now you can even stream to Beam from your Xbox, which is another streaming service, which I've streamed on as well, which is fine. It's a smaller community right now, but it's growing very quickly. So if you get in early on there, you can definitely benefit from that if you wanted to. But if you wanted to start building a PC, I do have some things to look at tonight. So this right here, minus this cooler and this drive right here, is my current streaming PC. I went with a... I'll just change it right now. I went with a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, which is one of the better... This right here. There's one of the better air coolers for relatively cheap. It's $25. There's no reason not to have that as your base cooler if you can. But essentially, this is my PC right now. I'll delete this because it's not there. I don't even have an optical drive on it. But I have an AMD FX 8350 at 4 gigahertz. I haven't even overclocked it. I overclocked it once and it was fine. I didn't notice too big of a difference. I only got it to like 4.2 or something. But if you're on air, it kind of gets a little hard. The FX series run really hot. Asus M5A97 motherboard. Oh, I guess I could throw my video card in here since I already have that. It's an EVGA GTX 680. If you've never seen this website either, it's great for at least pricing out and planning a PC build. And I have... Oh, shit. I have the 2 gig version, which we'll just say it was this one. It doesn't have a price to it. I don't know which one it was. But yeah, that's essentially my PC here. And overall, it probably cost about that to build. This is just a base streaming PC. Like, if you want to get into streaming and have decent quality and not have your computer chug and die when capturing, I can throw my capture card in there too. So we will look it up. Hang on. Let's go ahead and turn that off. While I pull it up, I have an Elgato HD60 Pro for my capture card, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. It's a little slow on the upkeep when it when you first open it up. I need to stop saying I just won't say anything at all. Copy link address. Okay, so this is more like what my setup is. So with the Elgato HD60 Pro in there, the Elgato HD60 Pro is a decent capture card. It's okay, it gets the job done. It does rely on your CPU to be kind of a heftier CPU. So when you do 60 frames per second, you want more threads. The FX 8350 can handle it to a point, but it does get rough. It does get rough if you're not. It does get rough. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It gets rough. Now, if you go back to my other parts list. Save as. Yes. Okay. Love it. Which parts list is this? I don't know. Stream PC? Yeah. I'll override it. Okay, then we'll go back. Okay. Now, the PC that I'm going to be doing, like, this is my next PC. Most likely. For streaming. It's got an AMD Ryzen 7 1700X, which is a 3.4 gigahertz 8-core processor. But it's got essentially hyperthreading, which is up to 16 threads. So it's 16 virtual cores, which is enormous when it comes to streaming. Like Intel's 16 core processor is $1,000. 16 thread processor is $1,000. This is $398. It's not their 1800X, which is $500, but the 1700X is more than enough for what I need at this point in time. So that's what I'll be going with for that, along with a liquid cooler to cool things down. I'm probably going to do a custom loop on that cooler instead of an all-in-one, because I've never done a custom loop and I want to do a custom loop. And I'm actually going to be changing out the case, which we will do right now. I'm going to make this one a pretty case. This is a good case. The AMD 450D is actually a great case. It's the one that I have now, and I was going to reuse that. Yo, Demi K, how you doing? Dude, I'm so excited for Ryzen stuff. Like, I'm excited to get my hands on it. I have a buddy who's going to be building a PC, or he's ordering everything now, and I will be building his PC with a 1700 soonish. Where'd it go? This one is going to be a 570X, if I can find it on this damn list. There it is. 570X RGB. It's $177, but oh, I didn't put RAM in this? What? We'll pick some RAM too while we're here. We'll go with Corsair RAM. Need at least 16 gigs. When I first build a PC, I don't go top. Like, this can take 64 gigs, but I don't need more than 16, personally. Streaming itself does not use a ton of RAM. It's all in the processing power. And we're gonna change this to list view. Corsair Vengeance LPX. There we go. Alright, cool. And then we'll do 2130. Nope, 2400. Yo, you just thank you for that follow, dude. The new generation AMD chips are supposed to be going for the heavy with Intel. Yeah, dude, they're gonna be awesome. So the Ryzen 1700X, it's a 3.4 gigahertz with a boost up to 3.8, 8 cores, 16 threads. So that is actually in a place that Intel doesn't have price wise. My notification needs to be on top of everything. So like the 1700X is kind of a weird middle ground. The 1800X is the top of the line for AMD's Ryzen 7. It's a 3.8 to 4.1 boost, 8 threads or 8 core, 16 threads. It's a fucking monster. And it's going against the 7700K. Actually, it's going against 6950K, which is $1,000. So we'll look at processors real quick. What do I want to do here? I wanted to save as, and this is Stream PC 3.0. Alright, and we're just going to start a new parts list, because why not? So we're going to go ahead and just go over, where's start new parts list? Here's what I'll do. Edit, start new parts list. Okay, so we're gonna go, let's see. So let's look at Intel's processors, right? Like for the base for streaming from an Intel machine, you would want an i5 at the very base. So even on i5s, at the speed you want, like an i5 7600K or a 6600K, you're looking at $220 to $235, like base from Intel. Now that's a 3.8 and 3.5 gigahertz quad cores. Like their quad cores are decent enough to handle that, but for AMD, the FX 8350 is the absolute minimum that I am comfortable saying to stream on with AMD. So the 8350 is a 4 gigahertz 8 core processor. That's $145. So if you're looking at AMD right now with the FX 8350, your price is going to be a lot higher, which sucks. That's why I'm saying stick with Ryzen, because if you go to the Ryzen 7, right, and you have the 1700, 1800X, and 1700X. The 1700 at a 3 gigahertz processor is actually, with with 8 cores and 16 threads, is insane for $380 or $328. To put that up against like a KB Lake, a 7700K at like $20 more, I think the KB Lake, the 7700K, is going to be better at gaming, but it's a quad core 8 thread processor, whereas this is an 8 core 16 thread processor at 3 gigahertz. The other one's at 4. So it's going to be faster gaming wise, but for content creation and export, you're going to want the the Ryzen platform. Like, it's setting the bar at a very decent price, which I'm very excited about. The 1800X is 3.6 to 4.0, which is actually more close to 4.1, and then all of these are overclockable. You can overclock them. I've seen some people getting them up to 5 gigahertz already on water, which is nuts. And it's a 14 nanometer 905 watt processor compared to the Intel processors, which they're 14 nanometers, but they're 125 watts, so they're a bit more power hungry. Yeah, I'm ridiculously excited about that. But like I said earlier, the base that you want for streaming, or if you're looking into getting streaming at all, and you have like a PS4 and Xbox One, definitely go with that first, because a PS4 and Xbox One is your lowest barrier to entry into streaming. Like, being able to just turn on your console and start streaming is awesome, and then you can get the feel of it. You can know that, hey, I enjoy streaming. Don't do what I do and figure out that you enjoy something a little bit, and then just go fucking blow all of your money on it. I have a habit of getting hobbies and then going 100% all in on that hobby right away, and and that's what I tend to do. Like, I have too many things. I have photography stuff, I have paintball stuff, I have streaming stuff, like my mic setup and everything. We'll go over mics and audio and everything from the base. Like, the whole point of this podcast is we start at base level and then we work up, right? We work up to what the top of the top is. Like, there are things that I need to change in my stream that I've been meaning to change for almost a year, which are my monitors. I have 3 different monitors. I have a 24-inch Samsung, a 32-inch TV, and a 22-inch monitor on my right, which they work, but it's all different sizes, and it doesn't flow well. It doesn't feel right when you're looking at everything. And then the webcams we're going to be going over as well eventually, which are going to be like, what do you start with? If you're on a console, you have both the Kinect on the Xbox, and then you have PS4 Vision or whatever, PS Vision or whatever it's called now, on the PS4, which the PS4 streaming is actually a lot better than Xbox, because the PS4 app can actually do chroma. It can do green screen stuff, which is pretty cool. Whereas the Xbox One doesn't have that ability, but the Xbox One now can stream to Beam, which is good. It's a decent small little community. I've streamed over there a few times. Where was I going? We're going to be talking more about capture cards and the different types of capture cards you can have. I've had several. I've used a bunch of different capture cards because I tend to go through them. You can break capture cards. They do die over time. Right now I'm on an Elgato HD60 Pro. I'm not a big fan of it, personally. For an internal card, it's slower than it should be, and it doesn't provide the quality that I want for my stream. Personally, in my next build, I'm probably going to transplant it into my next build just because I can't afford the card that I want, because the card that I want is like $900. It's a Magewell 8 input monstrous machine card, and it's ridiculous, and I love it. I want it so bad. But yeah, so this is probably going to be shorter than a normal podcast, I'm guessing, because I just kind of wanted to go over what I wanted to talk about. A few things here and there. I'm kind of jumping all over because I didn't really prepare for it either. I was like, I want to fucking make a podcast. Let's start it tonight. Dude, the Razer Ripsaw was okay. It worked. The Razer Ripsaw worked with my PC for a very long time, and it was fine. I liked it. It worked, and then all of a sudden, it didn't. It just stopped working. Come to find out that Razer released a update to the driver that made it not work with AMD processors. And they didn't tell anybody. They're like, oh, we just don't support AMD anymore. Sorry. It's like, but it was working. Like, you just cut off half your market, effectively. You cut off a big chunk of your market just because you don't want the Ripsaw to work with AMD anymore, which made no sense to me. So when I do a Ryzen build, we're going to see if it works on Ryzen, just to see if it works. Which I don't see why it wouldn't. It should, in theory, work. But I still have it. It's sitting up on top of my shelf. But it's just a rebranded AverMedia card, basically rebranded and like recolored, because the AverMedia one's red and black and this one's black and green because Razer. We'll talk about mobile streaming because that's going to be a thing soon. Like, you're going to be able to. They're putting out an app for Twitch to stream from your phone. That's actually how I started back on Justin.tv in 2010. I would do commute podcasts where I would put my camera on a dock, or I put my phone on a dock, right, and be sitting there and be pointing at me while I was driving, and I'd be talking to it, like people do on Periscope now. Justin.tv was doing that 3-4 years before Periscope even existed, and then Twitch bought them, and then for some reason decided, oh, we just want to focus on games. And now they're starting to slowly roll back into everything that Twitch has done with gaming talk shows, creative, social eating, IRL. But we'll talk about mobile streaming setups because those are complicated. I have not done a legit mobile streaming setup yet, other than like Periscope and shit for my phone. And I want to. Like, I love that. I love doing that. There's nothing like being able to drive home and have a conversation with somebody that is kind of sitting in the car with you, even though you're not listening to them, they're listening to you. We'll talk about the implications of streaming all the time, because right now the mentality on Twitch is if you're not streaming, you're dying, and that's a really unhealthy way to look at it. But if you're growing your channel, it's kind of what you got to be doing. It hurts me when I can't stream. Like, I'm not a huge channel. I don't think I ever will be. but if I'm not online, I'm losing the potential to grow. If you don't have a consistent schedule, you're gonna have problems growing your channel as well. If people don't know when you're gonna be on, then they're gonna have a hard time finding you. Like, when the best way I've heard it is, the reason why TV, like traditional television, is the way it is because everyone knows what time their favorite show is on. And if you know what time your favorite streamer is going to be online, you know what time to be there and what time to like get hyped up for it. All the streamers I follow stream at roughly the same time every single day, and that's huge. That, like, knowing when to be there is a big deal. I'm still hammering down my schedule. It's pretty close. I'm pretty close to where I should be. Start around 6 or 7 every night, 6 or 7 Pacific every night, and then I stream for 2 to 4 hours depending on the night. If it's Friday or Saturday, it'll be more like 4 to 6. Because I work and I have kids. So, and this isn't my job. If this was my job, I'd be streaming a lot more. But yeah, we're gonna be talking a lot about streaming and the things that you need to do to be a successful streamer. I've helped people set up streams that very quickly became more popular, more successful than I have on Twitch. I may not be the most popular streamer, but I know how to get things set up and get things working. And we'll talk about streaming software, so like OBS, Elgato streaming software, and XSplit. We'll talk about those because I've used them all. I've used everything. We'll talk about doing 24-hour streams. We'll talk about doing short streams. Like, what's the difference? Why is it hurtful actually to do shorter streams versus longer streams? Unless you're doing something like this, where specifically a podcast, they tend to have a set length of about an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours. But the shorter streams, we'll talk about that as well. Putting streams on YouTube, like archiving your streams to YouTube. This is going to get archived to YouTube. License-free music, playing music on your stream. Why that's sketchy. Why you may not want to do that anymore with licensed music coming up pretty soon. As streaming gets more popular, it's going to get very apparent that the people who stream with licensed music are getting away with something at the moment. So we're gonna be doing a lot, and I hope that this is gonna help somebody in the long run who wants to start streaming. We'll talk about different bots. I'm just looking at my bot here. Talk about different chat bots, Onkbot, MooBot. Shit, there's so many of them. There's so many different chat bots. Squirtbot. I've used most of them. Wisebot. There's tons of them. I'm gonna try to get people on to talk about it too, just to kind of confer and see how things go. They're generally gonna be about an hour and a half. Sunday nights are kind of my off nights because I like to spend time with my family on Sunday nights, and my wife and I catch up on all our shows that we missed during the week. So for that hour and a half or whatever before our shows come on, I'll be here streaming, and we'll be doing our podcast thing. So yeah, if you guys want to hit the follow button and hang out, make sure to follow me on Twitter as well. You can use the command Twitter and chat, and you can get that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off now because while it is a bit short tonight, it's only about a half an hour. I wasn't too well prepared for it. But next week, we're going to come back. I'll probably be going over, I don't know, we'll go over capture cards next week. Probably because that one's pretty simple to talk about. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out, watching the first Stream Tech podcast. Again, this is going to hopefully be a weekly thing, and we'll see how it goes. But thank you guys, and have a wonderful night. Or day. I don't know. It's going on YouTube, so you can just come in YouTube too. Whatever.